my name is Rhonda and I am the new director of the Pregnancy Care Center of Dayton. And I just wanted to share a little bit about myself and about what brought me here to become the director. And it's just a little testimony about how the Lord has worked in my life and led me up to this point. And so whenever I became a believer, which was at the age of 30, when I really started walking with the Lord, and began to really trust Him and believe Him and make Him fully Lord of my life, He began a process in me of deep healing and of deep reconciliation, and I just fell in love with the Lord, and I fell in love with His Word, and not too many years after that, I began teaching a women's Bible study, where I began walking with other women and showing them how to walk with the Lord and how to be reconciled to His heart, and especially how to reconcile their past with His heart, because I have a very broken past, and a past that includes abuse and neglect and divorce and all kinds of things that are not that were really hard to walk through. And so it was a difficult time for me to walk through that, but as I began walking with the Lord, I began to experience freedom from so many wounds that happened all the way back even into my childhood. And so as I began walking with these ladies and to watching them become free, I became even more profoundly aware of the love of God, and I just wanted to share His heart with everybody. And there was one day when one of the women that I dearly love was pregnant, and I just became so in love with this baby in her womb, and I didn't understand why. It was like the Lord just gave me a real, true a connection with this baby that was in her womb, and it turns out that she ended up losing that baby, and that really devastated me. And so as I began to bring that to the Lord, He showed me that, Rhonda, you're really grieving for this baby, but you have babies in heaven that you haven't thought about in a long time. And I knew exactly what He was talking about. He was talking about my 3 abortions that I had in my younger years, before I was really pursuing and walking with Jesus. And it just broke my heart. It wasn't long after that I was listening to a worship song where he was talking about how He can make beautiful things out of dust, and He can make beautiful things out of us. And it was during that worship song where I could hear Jesus asking me, do you think I can make that beautiful? And to be honest, I didn't think He could. I knew I was forgiven for my abortions, but I never knew that God could make it beautiful. That concept had never even thought, that thought had never occurred to my mind that God could actually do that. And so, but I knew He was asking permission to come into a place in my heart that He hadn't been before. And so I said, yes, Lord, if You can do that, I would love for You to do that. And I just invited Him in, and it really, truly did feel like I was opening a door in my heart and He was walking in. And from that moment on, He began to lead me on a journey of redemption for my 3 abortions that I'd had. Actually, I didn't remember I had 3. I had shoved it down so deep I only could remember physically in my brain too. And it was later on that He reminded me that there was another one that I had completely just put out of my mind because of all the trauma I was going through during those tumultuous years of my life. I want to share with you some scriptures that He used in my heart during that time. Isaiah 61 is one of them. It's a big one, and it's still one I hold close to my heart. Isaiah 61 is awesome. It's just about when saying the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And then as we get down to verse 3, it says to comfort all who mourn, to console those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil for mourning, a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, and that He may be glorified. And what God was doing was He was saying, Rhonda, you're holding on to some ashes there that I want to turn into glory. And I didn't realize that when Jesus went to the cross that He had completely removed my sins of abortion, but there were 3 babies in heaven that I didn't ever like to think about and that I didn't even want to know about. but through his plan of redemption, he allowed me not only to be reconciled in my own heart, that I was completely forgiven, and to fully understand what that meant, but to also know that, and to even be excited, and to ask him and invite him in to shed light about my 3 babies. And I have named them now, and I look forward to seeing them in heaven, and they'll be after Jesus, the first faces that I'm looking forward to seeing. And so I wanted to share that with you, because the abortion is such a heavy burden that so many of us carry, and it is a great sin, but it's not greater than the cross. It's not greater than the cross. And so I invite any of you here that may be struggling with the sin of abortion, and you want to release it, or you need someone to talk to or to pray with it, I invite you here to come to the center and know that this is a safe place to come, and that's part of my past too. And hopefully I would love to be doing some healing groups here soon that deal with that. I also want to share with you that that's actually why I began to fall in love with these type of centers, because I began to lead abortion recovery groups at a pregnancy center at where I used to live. And through that, I began to my heart began to be knit together with other women that had a past like mine. And that's where my heartbeat for pregnancy centers began, because before I was redeemed from abortion, I would stay away from these places. Even though I was walking with the Lord, I didn't feel like I had permission to walk into these sacred grounds. And so when I was asked to be center director here, or to consider that, it was a really shock to me, because of all places, this doesn't seem like a job that the Lord would ever call me to, considering my past. But you know what? When God redeems you fully from your past, he can call you to do anything, because you're a planting of his. We're a planting of the Lord. And because we're a planting of the Lord, he can be glorified in us any way he chooses. And so I just wanted to share a little part of my testimony with you, and to invite you, especially any of you who are struggling in this area, or you know someone that is, to invite them to call me, to come in and let me pray, or however God leads you. Maybe even just to share this video with them, so that they'll know that this is something that the Lord can overcome, and that he really is the God of anything. He can do anything. God is amazing and huge, and he's still almighty, and he's able to save and redeem our hearts in ways that are unimaginable to us. Anyway, so I wanted to share that part of my testimony, and just so that you know who I am, I'm the news director here at your center. This place is here not for me and not for our volunteers, but for you. And so if you're in the area, and your family is in crisis, and you need prayer, you need outreach, you actually are pregnant and you want to talk to someone, there's anything that you need help with, we're here for you. Our phone number is 936-258-9000, and my name again is Rhonda Delamornier, and we look so much forward to meeting you. And God bless you. Thank you for sharing a little bit of my story, letting me share a little bit of my story with you. We look forward to seeing you here at the Pregnancy Care Center in Dayton. Bye-bye. Okay, I just